Tell you a quick story about my first teaching experience. It'll be quick. I was working at St. Francis de Sales. I was a language arts teacher. And how many of you have ever received a compliment from a teenager? Okay. You have to be very careful when you receive that compliment because it means other things. So these two teenagers in my 8th grade language arts class came up to me and they said, "We really, really love your voice." I'm like, okay. So I drove home, started thinking about it. Two teenagers say they like my voice. So male and female, nice kids, absolutely A honor roll students. So I should have left it where it was. But I was so impulsive about it. I came back the next day and I said, "Tell me why you like my voice." They said, "When we're having our didactic seminar, your voice puts us right to sleep." So when I see you guys dozing off, different things might happen. So stay tuned. And then this other piece. I met my hero last night. And I know he's probably not here, but I want to read something about him. And so when people ask the question, why are you here? Why did you transition to Winton Woods? You will hear about my hero. My hero is a little kid. And so, of course, I had to be taller than my hero. So that's the first thing. But when you hear about him, you will know why I selected him. Okay, Chaz Moss. Chaz Moss, I first met Chaz at the board meeting last night, and he was honored for perseverance. And so I started thinking about Chaz. I thought about Chaz all night, and this is where we have become, Chaz and I will probably become best friends one day. So this is what they wrote about him, his 3rd grade teacher. Chaz Moss is the perfect example of perseverance. He recently lost his home to a fire. He only missed one day of school and wanted to return to school as soon as possible. He didn't even mention that his house had burned down. He walked into school with a smile on his face, even though he had lost almost everything. He was worried that he might get in trouble for not having a uniform shirt. His parents could only find a navy blue t-shirt. He and his parents were more concerned that Chaz receive his education rather than focusing on the material things they had lost. Chaz is an unbelievable student who understands that you can lose everything, but with an education, you can always get the materialistic things back. Education is the key to succeeding in life. Chaz is a perfect example that we all hope to emulate in the face of any adversity. That's my hero. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize a few people who have really made my life much better. School board members, of course you met President Ms. Burns, Vice President Mr. Cleary, School board member Dr. Viola Johnson, Mr. John Pennycuff, and finally, Ms. Jessica Miranda. One other important person I'd like to introduce. This guy really made the first part of my life better, and every time I see him, I get excited. My dad, Jack Cassidy. All right, Jack is the former president of Cincinnati, spearhead TAF movement, and one of the things that you'll understand about partnerships, and it's going to be essential that we gain some partnerships along the way. We started that journey 13 years ago, and Bell is still an active participant in the school. So that's what makes it rich. So here we are. It's time for the journey. We're going to talk about what we need to do. And remember, everybody in this room is responsible for the work. We're all responsible for the work because they're our children. So, ensuring all students achieve their highest potential. That's our tagline. We live by it every day. And so we want you to remember that as we take this journey, that we're not going to change the tagline because that's what we believe. You have to run it. So we're going to go in 3 phases. Where we are now, academic results, and where we're going. And Ms. Denny is my community engagement coordinator, so she is the driver of this whole operation. So if it works real well, then thank me. If it doesn't, then see Mrs. Denny. All right? This is where we are now in Winton Woods. And you know, what's very interesting, we found out that we have a lot of diversity that people in the community may not realize. So we want you to know exactly what we know. So we're going to talk about the rich environment, all-day kindergarten, school academic successes, project-based learning, college credit, Academy of Global Studies, performing arts, athletics, tutorials, PTA. That's just the first part. Summer school and summer lunch. So, this is what we are. This is what we look like at Winton Woods. 28 languages spoken. How many of you knew that? Wow, 28 languages spoken. And we have students from Spain, China, Costa Rica, Peru, Guatemala, and Switzerland in this community. So it's obvious that we have something to offer. And so we've had over 100 students from countries including China, Spain, Germany, Italy, Thailand, Japan, Philippines, Venezuela, Austria, and South Korea. And the children that are here, the students that are here, that are our regular students, treat them absolutely awesome. Because if they didn't, we wouldn't have this program and we would not have this relationship. They embrace them every single day and they make their lives that much better. So we appreciate how our children treat children from other countries. All-day kindergarten. There was a very strong push in the district to bring all-day kindergarten to terms. A half-day experience means that our children are only half ready. The whole-day experience gave our children some advantage. So how many of you have heard about the third grade guarantee? The third grade guarantee is real. When do you get ready for the third grade guarantee? In third grade? No. Preschool, kindergarten. So having an all-day experience gives our kids the advantage that they're going to be ready for that test. They're going to be ready for that test. And I am very, very proud of the teachers that really do that work because they are troopers. They know that there is a high-stakes test coming up and they put our kids in the right advantage so they can take full opportunities to make sure that they're very, very successful. This is what the third grade, this is what happens with the kindergarten. Builds that foundation for confidence, maximizes success, closes the academic achievement gap, and it's a strong foundation for the third grade guarantee. I have a principal in the back. Principal Dorsey, raise your hand. He's talking right now. All right, we won't put him in detention. Principal Dorsey, are you excited about the kindergarten all-day experience? Okay, all right, he got it right. Okay. Because it makes his life easier. See, being a third grade principal, a principal in a third grade school, there's a lot of weight on your shoulder. And usually the other principal that really understood the real weight on your shoulder was Dr. Holden. Knowing that you have to get all of the kids through in the same amount of time is a lot of pressure, correct? Dr. Holden is excited because she's passed that pressure on to Eric Martin. All right. Raise your hand, Mr. Martin. There we go. All right, so we get a chance to hear from a kindergarten teacher.
My name is Emily Isaacs, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Winton Woods Primary South. I have taught here for 2 years. In the first year, I taught half-day kindergarten. I had 1 class in the morning and 1 class in the afternoon, and now I've had the joy of teaching full-day kindergarten. I've really seen a huge difference in my students this year because of full-day kindergarten. Because I have them all day, we're able to really do things so much faster and get things done much more in depth. When we had half-day kindergarten, I was only able to teach my students a little bit a day, and we had to spend a lot of time reteaching topics because I only had them for a few hours. But now that I can spend the whole day with them, we can really dedicate our time to doing one thing a day, really mastering it, and then moving on to the next day. I've seen a really positive impact on my kids because of it, and it's evident not only in their behavior and in the way they're reading, but if you look at even the test scores and how they're performing, my students went from reading on average from a 3 to 4 at the end of kindergarten to a 6 all the way to a 12. That's my average this year. So not only are they performing above level this year, they're going to be much more prepared for first grade. So the first grade teachers won't have to spend time reteaching material. They'll have the opportunity to just start reading with them, which is so powerful. They'll be able to stop looking at the little things like letters and sounds and sounding out words, and they can focus on teaching reading, which is what we're really trying to do with these kids. So I just think it's really incredible that I taught kiddos who mostly performed reading a level 3-4, which is simple books, simple sentences. These kids are reading books with chapters. They're reading books that have multiple meanings and comprehension. They're really prepared for first grade in a way that they weren't last year.
Wow, all-day kindergarten. So, was it worth it? Yes.
My name's Jennifer Mast. I have a son who's in kindergarten here at Winton Woods Primary North. He's in Amy McCann's class in room 4. He came in knowing his letters and his colors, but now he can read. I brought a book. He got this last night. He can read this whole book. It's an easy reader. He is very proud of being able to read. Another area that my son has grown in is behavior. He used to be a little more, as a younger child would be, a little more self-centered. He now is way more conscious of his environment and the other pupils around him. He is more of a team player. He is conscious of his classmates and their feelings. He is able to cooperate and work together with his table or as the bigger group. And so that's something that we've really been excited to see him develop.
From a mom. Yes. So, I'm going to take you on a little journey about the successes in each one of the schools. And the way I came about these success stories, I asked the principals, I want you to tell me about some of the things in your school that work. And then some of the things that don't work, we need to make sure that we're pushing ourselves to the limit, and we're giving all of our children the opportunity to be successful. So, academic highlights for elementary, spelling bees, honor roll club, bringing up grades award, curriculum nights to help parents understand new learning standards. Parents, when we send information out to you about curriculum nights, please show up, because it will tell you about the new standards and how you can help your child at home. It's essential that you come, because we want to make sure that we're on the same page. Intermediate school academic successes, hands-on science lab. Co-teaching with classroom teachers and intervention specialists show evidence of closing the gap. An intervention specialist is a specially trained teacher to help students who have disabilities. We don't want that to be a separate opportunity. We want the regular ed kid and the kid who has some disabilities to blend together so they grow. Having those students in isolation is not the optimal package. Correct student Services Director, Ms. Darcy. She preached that to me the very first day I walked in the door. And so there are no special lines at Kroger's for kids with disabilities. So they will have to figure out how to navigate through our experience, and the best way is so that they can work with regular ed kids every day. And guess what? When you do it right, everybody gains. Middle school. Cohesive team teaching for cohorts of students who share the same language, math, social studies, and science. Advanced classes in language arts and science. And Algebra 1 and Geometry for high school credit. Imagine, the state of Ohio says our students need 4 years of math. Imagine you earn your math credit while you're in the middle school. That means even though the state says you need 4, if you earn your math credit in the middle school, we're expecting you to take 6 years of math. Imagine our kids leaving school with 6 years of math under their belt. That's not the norm. That's not the norm, but at Winton Woods it will be, because that's our goal, so that our kids are better prepared for the competition. See, we think that our competition is the other suburban schools, Lakota, Sycamore, whatever. No, our kids' competition is overseas. It's a global experience. So that's what the competition looks like. So we have to make sure that they are faster and smarter and stronger than the competition. So in the middle school, students can complete 2 years of Spanish or Chinese for high school credit. Now, I introduced you to Jack Cassidy, right? Jack speaks 4 different languages, all right? 4 different languages, but they all sound the same, all right? No, he doesn't, but he did. How many internet sir? Too many to count. All right, and you've met people and you wish that you could have spoken those other languages, correct? Absolutely. So we're going to prepare our people and we're going to prepare our kids to be CEOs of organizations. So when they travel abroad, they will be able to speak that language. All right? Jack, I should have had you on the first row so I can do more things, but that seat's fine. Okay? All right. So elective courses, Intro to Tech, Gateway to Technology, and Physical Education. You know what would be perfect for our high school kids and our middle school kids? If they could take phys ed in the summer, if they could take physical education in the summer and be done with it, boy, life would be so much better. It would gain other opportunities. They could take more enriching courses in the fall because the phys ed is gone. Because remember, our kids struggle, and not just Winton Woods kids, but kids all over the state, taking phys ed first, period. So what am I supposed to do for the rest of that time when I am not really interested in taking a shower? That creates problems. So if we could take care of it in the summer, boy, our kids would really love that. So that's one of the things on the radar. Correct, Mr. Martin?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Student ambassadors, anti-bullying. Every parent in this room worries about bullies. But we have an anti-bullying program, and we don't say we don't have an issue, but we combat that issue by giving kids opportunities to have sessions to mediate with peers and talk about group opportunities that make them better learners. Project-based learning. More than anything else, do you know what project-based learning does? It has students focused on a goal, it has them focused on an opportunity, and it sets a goal based on we're trying to solve something. So, how many of you have ever had an opportunity to be in school and you took a class and you wondered, why am I taking this class? I'll never use it again. But that's the old way that schools operated. The schools now have to have a blended opportunity where those contents actually are merged together. That's what makes it real. When you have contents that are merged together, it gives it a purpose, it gives it an identity, and there's And so kids don't work in isolation on a content. That work should be blended together. Team of teachers trained to incorporate project and problem-based global learning. That's huge. And the next one? In the middle school, language arts, social studies, and Spanish are combined into a multidisciplinary project-based learning course titled Humanities. When you teach in isolation, you get what you get. But when you incorporate the work, it makes it very, very holistic. High school academic success. That first one, when I first came to Winton Woods, I didn't know a whole lot. I still don't know a whole lot, but I know a lot about, well, anyway. But when I first came to Winton Woods, one of the things that excited me was the performing arts. Is Mr. Bell around? Man, I love Mr. Bell. He is an absolute incredible musician, and he gets young people inspired about the whole thing with the arts. So there's project-based learning in the high school as well, college credit, AP classes, diploma endorsement pathways from STEM and STEAM. STEAM has added the arts piece to it, and now, of course, we have the High School of Business. And then finally, the Academy of Global Studies that many of you have heard about. So, this is my other hero, Anthony. Anthony has been in so many plays and performances. It's absolutely astounding that he can keep up with his work. How many of you have seen anything that he's been part of? So we have an Anthony fan club. And you know why I think that whole experience is just so holistic for me? His first name. His first name just kind of brings me joy. When I say it, I think I'm talking about me. All right? So, Anthony's going to tell us a little story about his experience at Winton Woods.
My name is Anthony Thompson. I'm a senior here at Winton Woods High School, and I've been in the district since 8th grade. It's only about 5 years. And honestly, when I first came to the middle school in 8th grade, I was completely overwhelmed by the array of opportunities that were before me, from music to art to all these different things that transcended what the classroom had to offer, and even what the classroom offered. Because before then, I was in a private school. It was very small, and I wasn't nearly given as many opportunities and as many chances to grow as a person and grow as a learner and in all these different areas. And upon coming to Winton Woods, these past 5 years have been exceptionally amazing in cultivating me into the person that I am now. These past 4 years they've been busy, but they've ultimately been very, very worth it. And I've been very blessed and to be given every opportunity I've been given within the classroom, outside of the classroom, on stage, to become the person that I am now. And I definitely feel like going into next year and into my future that Winton Woods has brought me to a place where I can be successful and also incredibly happy with who I am, with what I'm doing, and what I plan to do in the future. And in the fall, I plan to attend Miami University to study theater.
Wow. How many of you think we're going to read about him somewhere? Yes. We're going to read about him somewhere, and that is going to be a success story. But here's the good thing about Anthony. There are a lot of kids like that in the school. There are a lot of Anthonys in the school, and Debbies, and Brendas, and Sarahs, and Violas. You looked at me, so I had to say it. All right. But there are a lot of Anthonys in the school. And I think that we have not put ourselves in the right position to make sure that these kids were getting every opportunity to be successful. It is about the opportunities. That's what it is. Nothing else matters. Are we giving them the opportunities? Because that's what our competitors do. Our competition says, here are opportunities. And that's what separates here from here. So Anthony just gave you a compelling story when he came, and now look at it when he's ready to transition. So, we are very, very proud of our AP opportunities. AP Art, Physics, Calculus AB. Calculus AB is huge because it covers the first semester of college calculus. If you cover the first semester of college calculus, does it save my parents money? Yes. Imagine you're sitting at the dinner table or Thanksgiving table and you brag on your child and you say, my son has already finished AP college calculus. College calculus. Wow. And I know everybody out here, you took that course. Right? And you passed it. Okay. No, what you did, you saw it on the course outline and you said, next. All right. Then we have the BC. Course covers the first two semesters of college. First 2 semesters. It covers the first 2 semesters. Kudos to you, Dr. Holden, for the hard push. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, Dr. Holden has been promoted. Because of all the great work she did in the high school, she is now my curriculum director. Now, I don't know if you were clapping for her because she got the job or because okay, all right, anyway. More AP courses: American history, U.S. government, literature and composition, language and composition. Now, this is what's amazing. I met this young lady, and she is so wildly interested in school. She loves school. Wow. How many of your children love school? After they've had a taste of us, they will. We will get them to love school. So, in 2012-13, there were 91 students in AP courses. In 2013-14, 150 students in AP courses. And then our projected is 229 students. So we're growing our AP opportunities. See, when we finish the AP deal, when we finish this, there will only be one school that outranks us with AP opportunities. I won't mention them, but you know who it is. Starts with a W, but there's only really one W school district. What is it? Okay, all right, very good. So our kids can earn college credit before they get to college. Saves parents money. Gives them the opportunity to know what that college experience is going to be like. But one of the things that we have not really made the huge turn with, that we're going to make that turn. If our students have post-secondary education options, they need to get college credit. Of course they will, but that course should be a higher weighted course. So we're going to make that happen. Because if you're taking a course off campus at a university, you should get that weight. And so you could stay here at Winton Woods and take the course, but if you're ready to say, I want to go faster, I want to be better, I want to be stronger, I want to be more prepared, then we're going to make sure you earn the credit. So we're working on that to take care of that for the next school year. Project Lead the Way, High School of Business, dual enrollment with Sinclair College, and of course the AP opportunities. But these will all be weighted courses. So we'll have a mathematical formula that encourages kids to take a harder, more rigorous course. Academy of Global Studies. How many of you knew that it was the only school in the country to combine New Tech with the one-to-one Asia Society International Studies School of Network with a global focus? The only school in the country. We have it right here. And it wasn't an easy sell. The high school people worked hard to make this a reality. So now it lives, and it lives with us. 21st century skills, collaboration, communication, creativity. And you know what? This agency piece, that's the one that kills our kids in college because they don't get the work ethic. The work ethic is part of our work. People have to understand the work ethic is what gets you the degree. How diligent can I be during the course of the day to make good decisions Other people want to go have fun. My work ethic says I must study. But we have to instill that in you before you get to college. Because I do know that many students don't know how to study. So that's part of our formula, that's part of our plan. They have required community service, but we're going to branch this thing out. This is going to be huge. Every student in our school district is going to have some community service because they have to learn how to give back. Anybody know a child who lives with you, they know how to take but not to give? They'll take all day, but we have to teach our kids how to reciprocate, and that's the formula. Extended learning time, global seminar. So we put some things in place to make this a reality. And then there's a mentoring. How many of you have ever mentored in AGS? I think the kids really, really appreciate what you do. So there's something. Imagine every student in every building and every seat with a mentor. Wow. How many residents, Mr. Cleary, are in our district?
Roughly 17,000.
17,000. I only need 4,000. There's 17,000 residents in the district. I need 4,000 mentors. Is that unreasonable? I'll try it again. Is that unreasonable? Okay, the good thing about it, for everybody who said it was not unreasonable, remember we're taking a picture of you, so you may be that mentor that we call on. So thank you very much for volunteering. Kids did a video, along with their teachers, what I love about AGS. So here we go.
One of the things that I love about the Academy of Global Studies,
the presentations we do,
project-based learning,
the opportunity of community service,
global experiences,
the opportunity to travel abroad,
collaboration,
technology,
trust and respect, mentoring,
college readiness.
The Academy of Global Studies is an excellent opportunity for your child. The opportunities that are available to students through project-based learning are endless.
Our students are really interested in real-life applications of different topics, specifically in mathematics. I'm a geometry teacher, and so the kids get real excited when they learn about a project and they think to themselves, oh, I can actually use what I'm learning in the classroom to solve a real-life example.
What I really love about AGS is it gives students the opportunity to get a global perspective, something that I never got to do in a traditional building. So what's really fun is how we take our students to Arkansas later in the year, and it's a third world simulation, and students are made to make their own food, cook it over an open fire, and all the while bonding together.
As a parent, I'm very excited to be a part of the AGS family. Our family is excited to be a part of the AGS family. We've gotten great returns out of it. It's been a wonderful experience for my son. We're just very excited with the experiences he's had here, especially around 21st century learning skills like collaboration, critical thinking, communication, and creativity.
The Academy of Global Studies is preparing us by making us use technology and making us do further research, analyzing things from global perspectives, things such as that, to be prepared for college and what's ahead.
The best thing about the AGS program is the idea of creating globally competent students. The world's getting smaller, and every day we talk about how students have the ability to impact the rest of the world. Even the small things that they do every day can make a change.
AGS opens doors for my students. They are able to see the world both literally through travel, but they're also able to see the world through the studies that they do.
At the Academy of Global Studies, we use a globally infused curriculum with technology-enhanced instruction to give our students the skills they will need to be successful in life.
This really prepares students to be college and career ready. They learn the same Common Core standards, the Ohio standards, academic content standards. The standards are rigorous. Students are taught to think for themselves. They're taught to work independently as well as with their team.
I really want to invite you, if you're interested to come in and shadow, I'd love to have you come and shadow with us for a day to really see what the AGS experience is like. So please call me and let me know if you'd like to come in and check us out for a day.
That was a surprise. Thank you, Miss Denny. You know, my billing department, when I first arrived, where's Miss Jordan? Miss Jordan, that's my executive secretary. That is my brain back there. Thank you for everything. But when I first arrived, the treasurer's office said, this new superintendent has a problem. He spends a lot of money. And I'm thinking, I spend very little money. I'm not sure how they're figuring that is me. AGS. I'm AGS. Those are my initials. So when they saw all of these receipts, they were thinking AGS, and I'm like, no, whoa, wrong person. So we cleared that up very, very quickly, so I was excited. So PBL, again, Dr. Holden, you have to stand up on this one, dear. You have to. Stand up. All right. Let me tell you what she did. She decided that project-based learning was the way to really make it work for students. So AGS is one component of our school. It's one component of our district. She has infused the process where all 1,000 students in our high school will get that experience. That's huge. Because if we think it's good enough for one group, then we have to expand it. That was courageous. Thank you. No pressure, Mr. Martin. Performing arts. You can't say enough about the performing arts. And this clip right here is a real teacher. You know, you have those clips and it's not anybody that you know. This is a real person. Mr. Torres, raise your hand. Fantastic. Incredible musician. Absolutely incredible musician. So, see, the difference in this connection is not about just what we offer the children. It says we offer families. We offer families this opportunity. Chorus in grades 5 to 12. Band 5 to 12. Orchestra 5 to 12. Visual and performing arts courses, grades K to 12. How many of you have been to a band concert, an orchestra concert, something, a choir? You've been to something here. All right. I think I've only been here since July, and I've been to 850 concerts. But they were all just absolutely fantastic, so I like that experience. That's huge. And then the visual performing arts. This has to be the best band in the land because they are absolutely incredible. They are outstanding. And so when I see them march in the stadium, I'm excited because I say something very, very selfish. That's my band. And I am the superintendent of Winton Woods. So, no, I didn't create the band, but if you heard me talk about them, you would think I did. Because they make things real. They make it exciting. So look at what they've done. The All-American Marching Band, NKU Tri-State Honor Band, Southwest Regional Orchestra, Cincinnati Brass Band, and more. Junior Cincinnati Youth Wind Ensemble, Cincinnati Symphony Youth Orchestra, Southwest Regional Orchestra, Northern Hills Bassoon Ensemble, Cincinnati Symphony Chamber, Cincinnati Youth Wind Ensemble, Rice State University, Greater Miami Youth Symphony, and Blue Ass Youth Symphony Orchestra. How many of you know a child in the orchestra or a band? You know someone. Wow. Now, this is what's exciting. The Chinese, they've been watching this band on YouTube for years. And so they came with a proposal. Is Miss Ashbrook here? Okay. They want the band to come to China. And I said, if the band goes to China, I'll make sure I send Mr. Martin with them. No, I'm going to. Can you imagine the band playing by the Great Wall? That's huge. That's an experience. You don't get this every day. Remember, the Chinese are never going to embarrass themselves. So they've already watched and learned, and they can anticipate your band will be as good next year. And so, the varsity ensemble earned gold and placed 5th in the World Choir Games in 2012, OMEA. They have an unbroken string of qualifying for the state OMEA competition, unbroken string. Varsity ensemble performed in the pre-Olympic festival in China. How many people knew that? Wow. You know what's amazing? This must be like the top group. Because when I ask a question, you guys always raise your hand. The other group just look at you like, where have we been? All right. So I'm going to have to find a question and get you guys involved some kind of way. All right. How many of you know the superintendent? All right. There you go. There you go. You're in. You're in. All right. The choir has recorded 3 CDs with the Cincinnati Pops Orchestra. 3 CDs. That's unheard of. Gifted and talented. Begins in 3rd grade. And we have to differentiate the instruction. You're going to see 2 parallels of a student who came in with a struggle, and then you're going to see a parallel with a student who came in gifted, and we're going to show you how we grow both of those students at the same time. The opportunity to take high school courses at the middle school, and instructions provided by specially trained teachers in that content area. And then AP and collegiate courses in the high school as well. 18 competitive varsity sports, beginning in elementary. Here they go. Baseball, basketball, boys and girls, bowling, cheerleading, cross country. Bowling is a sport, right? Okay, I'm just checking. Football, golf, soccer, softball, swimming. Our varsity sports includes tennis, track, volleyball, wrestling. Now, that's what I want. I want that sport. How many of you understand the term Ivy League? Ivy League, that's an Ivy League sport. And look at the little shirt. What does it say? Warriors. We already assume that we're going to have that sport eventually. That's a Winton Woods Warrior on the Duke, no, not Duke, but that's a Winton Woods Warrior on the Northwestern lacrosse team. Would that be exciting? And I bet our kids can play that sport. I bet they will dominate the sport. And guess what? When people start saying we don't necessarily want you in our league, that sport will say, oh, you have to take us because we have something very different. Now, here are the other magical sports, rowing and hockey. See, in order for us to get better, we have to do something different. Now, someone might say, why would you have a rowing team? Believe it or not, at Taft, the girls had a rowing team. They never had anyone to compete against, so they were always champions. But they were the basketball girls who absolutely loved to row. And so imagine on the resume, because you have to tell the truth, imagine on the resume it says we have girls we have a rower. Imagine your resume say I was on the rowing team. If you're an admissions director, Dr. Worthen, and it says this girl is on the rowing team, what do you think about her? Absolutely. Is she coming to your university? Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have to create new opportunities, and we have to get out of the habit of doing the same old thing, thinking we're going to get different results. You do the same thing, you get the same thing. So here's the next piece that's very, very important. We have Envision's Children, Youth Motivational Learning Center, 2 community-based tutorial services that provide academic growth, and this is what they support. Academic achievement gaps, 5th grade numerical fluency, and 3rd grade reading. But see, these opportunities can't come without a price. They can't come without a price. So hats off to Good Catch, President Ruggles, for the money that you donate to these opportunities. Thank you very much. So, here's a quiz. How many of you knew about Envisions? Okay. How many of you knew about the Youth Motivational Learning Center across the street from the board office? Okay. And how many of you knew about Good Catch? All right. Now that we've taken the quiz, you all know about all three. So, when I quiz you tomorrow, okay. Now, here's the other thing, PTA. I met the PTA moms, and what a powerful group. Very motivated, very committed, very, very nice, and they want outstanding opportunities for our children. They want this thing to work. But you know what they were missing? They were missing PTA dads. They were missing PTA dads. So they need PTA dads. And if you know a good PTA dad, he has to be a good PTA dad, by the way. So if you know a good PTA dad, please connect them with the PTA moms, because we want to make sure that this opportunity goes full circle. So it's moms and dads working together. They create a support between schools, partnership with families to support student classroom needs, and that's who they are. So this summer, our students will have an opportunity to grow with summer programming, but there will also be a lunch opportunity as well. So pay close attention to the lunch opportunity that's going to come our way. Free summer lunch programs for June and July at the intermediate school to anyone under the age of 18 who resides within our district. Anyone. So we want to make sure that our kids are getting the nutrition. Even though school is closed, they have an opportunity for lunch in the summer. All right? Academic results. We're going to talk about the rating, the graduation stats, the OAA, growth versus achievement, growth focus on all students, current education paradigm, and real education reform. So, how many of you read in the newspaper that the state had to recalculate our stuff? All right, they recalculated us. And we submitted all the information like we should. So, this is a performance index. This is your rating. This is how you get rated by the ODE. So, we were in a continuous improvement cycle in 2010 and 11. So they recalculated us. They went back several years, and we found out that we were a difference of a 0.2. All right? When ODE recalculates you and they can just find a 0.2, I think that that was very good. All right? So the way the story reads in the paper is we changed ratings. No, we did not change ratings. The performance index shifted. So there were 26 indicators. Our first indicator, we thought that we were at 17. The state says, no, you hit 15. We didn't meet AYP, and we didn't meet value added, but I can show you in the next slides that we are going to. All right? So, the graduation stats. 4 years, we're at an 80.2. Now, some people might say, 80.2, that seems like a C or a B. No, it's a D, according to the state. And I'll tell you how they calculate it. And then for fifth year graduates, we're at 87.0, which is a C. So, this is the cut score, meaning every student, in order to meet the standards, in order to be proficient, they must receive at least a 400. That's our old mentality. That's our old way of thinking, trying to get our kids to get a 400. That's the old way. The new way is, I'm interested right here. That's what I'm interested in. Because look at this, if you score advanced in third grade at a 447, well, in fourth grade, you don't have advanced. So something is going to happen along the way. We have to make sure that we're not talking about basic proficiencies. See, that's the old way. We have to have a new idea, a new attitude that proficient is not acceptable in our district. Advanced and accelerated is acceptable in our district. All right? See, I don't believe we have regular kids. I believe we have advanced and accelerated kids, but we have to push them to that level because they won't grow there on their own. That has to be the expectation of the school, that every kid grows and every kid grows and every kid grows. I think I should move to the next slide. Miss Denny's yawning. All right, so this is how our kids come. This area right here, that means regular. That's normal. That's the achievement gap. That's it. That's the line. But our students come with a variety of needs. Every district has the same issue. Some students come here, some students come here, but our job is to make sure everybody grows. So this is our growth pattern, and that's what it looks like. Now we take a more in-depth look at what that growth pattern looks like. So this is Adam. Adam started out struggling, but that's Jacob. Jacob started out as a high flyer from the beginning, but when you have mediocre courses and you have marginal work, look what happens to Jacob. Now Jacob still is proficient. He's still proficient, but Jacob didn't grow. We are not allowed to do that. We're allowed to get Adam to where he needs to be, and then we differentiate the instruction to make sure Jacob is still here. Jacob should be off of this chart because Jacob lives with us. Jacob is our child. So we have to figure out how to make sure Adam grows and Jacob grows at the same time, but not at the same rate of speed, because Jacob came with something different. That's what it looks like. That's the goal for Winton Woods. That's what the work looks like. This is going to be hard work, but we can settle for nothing less than this. That's the goal. Now, here's the bad part about me. Because this is the expectation, here's the bad part about me. Some people are not going to make it, and I'm not talking about children. Some people are not going to make it because the expectation, see, remember, we chose this profession. The children didn't choose us. So we have to make sure this profession is honorable, it's right, and it's rigorous. Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to say, I made sure Adam grew and Jacob grew. So this is how we get our performance index. The state uses a scale score of 0 to 120 for 3rd and 8th grade OAA, 10th grade OGT, and 11th grade. The 11th grade OGT test, because they believe that the test should have already been, you should have already passed it in 10th grade, the 11th grade calculations are not computed, not in the performance index. So, this is how it works. So here are our 4 schools. Remember, primary north and south are not tested schools, so they're not part of that process. So what happens, here's a performance index based on how well students did. You divide that by 120, and that's how you earn your scores. So if you look at each one, you do the math, and we could round this up to 80 easily, but it's 89.6 divided by 120, which gives you 74.7, which is a C. And so the high school, the middle school, the intermediate school, the elementary school, and then this is our district. So that's how the ratings come out. You know what's so interesting? I know we can do better. I know we can do better. We have to. So, this is the paradigm shift that I've talked to you about. There are only 3 different types of kids. We think it's 1,000 different types. No, 3. The student who may come in with some struggles, the student who performs in the middle, and then the high achiever here. There are only 3 types. So we must make sure all 3 move to the right. It's not optional. It's not optional. See, if we put all of our work here, what happens to our children here? They lose out. So every child has to have the same opportunity about growth. So this is what it looks like. That's my version. That's the paradigm shift. No child is left behind. That's what it looks like. And that's real, and that's attainable. We know that we can do it. We have the right teachers to do it. And so we have to make sure every child grows. Every child grows. Where are we going? The Yale District Leadership Team, the new learning standards, the class of 213, post-secondary paths, Naviance, third grade reading guarantee, AP course additions, athletic GPA, athletic facility improvement, and technology enhancements. And finally, program restorations. Early release, parent classroom visits, community engagement, communications, open enrollment, translations, fiscal responsibility, new school facilities, Southwest Ohio, and our vision. So there's a DLT. What this DLT does, this is a district leadership team, and they go and they work really, really hard on trying to figure out how we can make sure all of our kids reach the standards. Not just mediocrity, but higher level of standards. And so this is part of our Ohio Improvement Plan. Every district has one, but we have the right people in place to lead this process. There's also a year-long professional development in our teaching and learning department, and this is what's implemented. Common Core, Ohio's new learning standards, and intervention programs in math for grades 2 to 12 and English language arts for K to 12. And then every teacher has to have a student learning objective. They have to tell us in a real growth target where they're going to grow our students, how far they're going to grow our students, and where we're going to make sure that we don't have mediocrity, but we have growth for every child. Post-secondary paths. In the year 2013, last year, 74% of our students went to a 4-year or 2-year college, 6% immediate employment, 3% military, 17% undecided or no plans. Please note, percentages do not include dropout students or non-graduates. This here is absolutely critical. Some of our students with disabilities need more time in school. So we're allowed to keep them until age 22. But here's the bad part. The good part about it, we're allowed to keep them until they're age 22 because we know they're not ready yet. The state of Ohio says, if you keep them to 22, Superintendent Smith, we're going to penalize you and we will consider that as a non-graduate. In some cases, I can't worry about the state. I have to do what's right for children. Now, some districts will not encourage students to stay to 22. They will not do it. It is not about that. It's not an option for me. If the students need more time, they need more time. And if the state says, you didn't meet the graduation rate because you're keeping your children longer than the norm, so be it. Because at the end of the day, we have to look in children's eyes and we have to ask them the question, did we do what we were supposed to do for you? And at the end of the day, I have to have that knowledge, all right? So here's what's exciting, Naviance. Naviance is the communication tool. It communicates with schools, universities, and it actually has a framework of where students can start talking about college experiences when they're in the 7th grade. 7th grade, they can start talking about college. All right? How many of you remember your first college conversation? All right? If you had Naviance, you would have had that opportunity when you were probably in the 7th grade to talk about college. See, in my family, college wasn't an option. It wasn't if you were going, it's where you were going. All right? And so when you have that level of parental support, then you will have opportunities. Now, there are some other things that Naviance does. It's about looking for opportunities for a post-secondary experience, and it may not be college for your child, but we have to make sure there's a career connected to their lifestyle. It consolidates college applications, links careers with colleges, filters students' college searches on variables like cost, major, and location. Naviance does all of it. And it does it in a very, very quick fashion, so students know exactly what opportunities I have before I even leave my seat. It allows teachers to access the program. They write college letters through Naviance. College recruiters, college opportunities, they don't even expect to have a hard copy of a letter. They expect it to have an electronic filter through Naviance. So a handwritten letter or a typed letter that you want to send to recommend a student, Naviance moves faster. And since this is a level of competition, I want my children to make sure they get the information to the universities before the other students. So Naviance is the pathway. It allows teachers to make course recommendations for underclassmen. I'm in the 9th grade, and my teacher's telling me I should take more math because I have that math knowledge. Imagine the teacher making the recommendation. That means we have a partnership. Allows parents to have their own access with the ability to see the information that their student submits to college. Any college moms and dads, this is going to be your year. If you could have already looked to see where the boys were going to go and how many opportunities they had, would you have been a happier dad? A happier dad. Man, you get it right again. Thank you. All right. So that's the whole idea. Jack, did Trey have Naviance? No, he didn't. Okay. But he still is at Ohio State. And he's doing well because his dad says so. All right, very good. Okay, here's the other course we're going to add, human geography. Human geography, because our kids need to understand, this whole thing about travel, where they're going, so that they can understand the experiences they will gain when they get there. Imagine you get the chance to study about the country and then you see it in real time. Anybody ever had a vacation plan and you saw the brochures and it's like, wow, this is exciting, and then when you arrived it looked like the brochure? And then if you took a trip with me, did you look at the brochure? It was exciting, and when you got there it's like, I'm in the wrong place. This looks nothing like the trip they told me about. So 3rd grade students, 3rd grade guarantee. I am so excited about the executive team. The executive team looked deep. They went very, very thorough, and they made some very, very interesting discoveries about the 3rd grade guarantee. See, we thought the 3rd grade guarantee was only based on the OAA. Executive team, raise your hand, please. They found other information that says, oh no, it's not just a 3rd grade guarantee. We can use the Terra Nova as another transition test. Now, some districts are not even aware. That's the power of having the DLTs and the executive team, because they're trying to figure out every opportunity for our children to be successful. So there's a fall assessment that's already happened, spring assessment for Terra Nova, then there'll be 2 other opportunities. We call these opportunities. We don't call it luck. We don't call it chance. We call it opportunities, and these are opportunities to be successful. So we're going to make sure that our children are prepared so that they can transition on to the 4th grade. Now this is the one that's exciting. Our Winton Woods football athletes have elected as a team to set higher academic standards by raising the 4th quarter grade point average. See, the state of Ohio, not Winton Woods. The state of Ohio says in order to be eligible for sports, you only need a 1.0. You could have all D's and make it. That is not acceptable for us. So for every mom and dad out there that says, the superintendent is changing it, my son won't be eligible, wrong. The superintendent is changing it along with the other teams, the executive team, to make sure that your child gets an opportunity to play in college if he chooses to. So your child is talking about playing on Saturdays and not just Friday nights. That's the growth target. So this is a quote from Coach Parker. Anybody ever met Coach Parker? All right. To support our academic goals, our team has decided to replace a workout with an extra study table per year. In addition, we'll begin our school day an hour early to work up with teachers before school. Have you ever heard of such? They volunteered to do it to make sure that they're reaching high academic standards. That's the work. And so if you didn't come here tonight, you would have not known this. So these are real things that are happening in our district. He says this is only the beginning of how we're changing the culture of Winton Woods High School. This is the beginning. See, my goal is every student athlete, because they make some other commitments with athletics, if we could make sure that the minimum of every student athlete graduating from Winton Woods with a minimum of a 2.5. That's huge. And I'm telling you, universities will be knocking on our door trying to get our smart athletes. But see, if you keep the bar here, they will reach it. So now we've changed the landscape, and they're working with us to do it. So we're saying the range goes here in 14-15, and then the range goes here in 15-16, and then 16-17, we're talking about the 2.5. Now, we don't want this to be shock therapy where when the students see this, they just pass out on us. So there's a growth process associated with this. And you know what, Mr. Cleary, thank you for your expertise. Mr. Cleary says, I like the idea, but how do they get it? Because now we've incorporated, there will be mandatory study tables to help you get there. See, throwing out some numbers and saying we're going to make sure that there's some growth, that's ridiculous, unless there's a plan. Now we have a plan. And it's not just for football players, no. Student athletes, all of them. How many of you have ever been on the visitor side of the bleachers? The third week I was here, my business manager, stand up, Mr. Denny. All right. Mr. Denny says, I want you to walk the visitors' bleachers with me. I thought Mr. Denny was trying to get rid of me. I'm thinking, this is dangerous, sir. And he says, no, just go up a little higher. I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is my last day. This didn't even work out for me. But the visitors' bleachers were in such bad condition, and the board realized that we cannot treat our guests that way. When they come in, they are our guests. And so we have to be very respectful to our guests. And so here's the piece. The business manager, he's a savvy guy, by the way. He's very, very savvy. Imagine a project that went $60,000 under budget. $60,000? That's unheard of. Now, I will never let him negotiate my contract, though. But this is $60,000 under budget. That's huge. $60,000 under budget for a quality project. Very good. Thank you, Mr. D. So here's our technology gains. Because we have to stay, we have to be current, we have to be up there, we have to make sure our children get the same opportunities that every other child across the state gets. 220 Nexus 7 tablets, 790 Dells and Samsung Chromebooks, approximately 300 Dell laptops. Now, between the magic of Mr. Denny and the expertise of Ms. Hobbs, that's the reality. That's the reality. They made that happen. So thank you very, very much. Now, this is the one I struggled with. When someone told me that these co-curricular programs have been slashed, immediately I said, it can't happen that way. And I'm happy, this is what I'm happy about. Remember I told you there's a group of 5 people that are very supportive of the work that I do. When we talked about restoring it, their answer was absolutely. So we're restoring the arts, music, and phys ed in K-6 buildings. Now, Mr. Dorsey, raise your hand. All right, Mr. Dorsey sent me on a mission that I didn't think I was going to accomplish. Every month there's a superintendent's art gallery. That started before me, and I'm planning to keep that tradition alive. So Mr. Dorsey says, I want you to come over and judge student art and pick one piece. There were 1,300 pieces. And I said, Mr. Dorsey, one piece? He said, one piece, sir. And I can tell you, ES, IS, MS, they all have pride in the arts, as well as the high school. Our kids love art, they love music, and so we had to make sure we brought it back in real time. Because if we don't do it, one day we'll see that high school band as a band of 30. Because it doesn't jump right into the high school experience, it's a growth process. Right, Mr. Torres? Absolutely, yes. So, here's the other good news. Remember the Wednesday early release deal? My teachers, I surveyed my teachers, and I talked to my parents, and they said, hey, it was a good deal, but it's difficult. It's hard. I don't know if it's this Wednesday or the next Wednesday, so we will no longer have a weekly early release. It will be an early release day that parents know exactly when that day is, and there are not going to be those cut days in between, all right? Because our kids deserve to have the best opportunities. The other thing that we made the change about is because, see, our teachers put it, they go all the way. They go all the way every day. So imagine a teacher who is working very, very diligently from the beginning to the end of the day, and then we say we're going to give you some professional development at the end of the day. That doesn't fit. My teachers are exhausted because they give everything that they have. So we surveyed teachers, we surveyed families, and we found out that was difficult. It was difficult for bus drivers, and there was a slew of other things that happened. So we don't have the early release days anymore. We have waiver days. So this works for our families. Here's some other things. Mr. Seymour, raise your hand. Yeah, that Mr. Seymour. Thank you, sir. All right. And where's Miss Wilson? Miss Wilson and Mr. Seymour work diligently with our teacher organization. There used to be a rule that says you have to tell us 24 hours that you're coming to visit your child's classroom. That doesn't fit. So now the new rule is you can visit for 15 minutes without an appointment. Now, if you want to stay longer, we would expect you to give 24-hour notice, but here's the magic rule. I visit classrooms all the time. I never interrupt the instruction. That is an absolute no. I never interrupt the instruction. Never, period, ever. That will never happen. I go around and I talk to students. I watch to see how the teacher is implementing the lesson. I see if they're following the content standards, but I will not stop the teacher from her work or his work. So you are allowed to come in those 15-minute windows without an appointment, but here's the other rule. Please make an appointment in the front office if you would like further communication with your child's teacher. See, when you go in to visit, it is not conference time. It is not conference time. So that's sacred time that we have to make sure that we respect every single day. There are a lot of supportive businesses, clubs, nonprofit organizations, and volunteers. Thank you for investing your time and talent into Winton Woods, but we need more. We need more. So, when I came on board, I said I need a communications team because we have to get the good news out about what we do. So, Ms. Cleary, are you here? Communications team. Ms. Burnett is not here. Ms. Jordan is on the communications team. Where's Ms. Jordan again? Ms. Jordan, you know why Ms. Jordan is so valuable on the communications team? She tells me the things not to say. So we sit in my office every morning, we go through our plan, and I say, Ms. Jordan, I'm gonna go up there and say that. She's like, no, sir, not a good idea. So I listen to her, and it helps me. And then, of course, my community engagement person, Mrs. Denny. Thank you. So we did have a community engagement person, and that's what's going to happen tonight. We're going to have some Q&A where we get a chance to talk about some of the slides that we've seen and some of the questions that you may have about our future. Open enrollment, it lives with us, but you have to see there are some advantages of open enrollment. We had 153 open enrollment students for 13-14, and there was a revenue of $780,000. 138 open enrollment students for 12-13, $701,000. So we look at the 2 years combined, it was $1,482,507 for open enrolled students. So even though people may doubt our work, other people are traveling to get what we have. Now, it's our job to make sure that if we have disenfranchised you in any way, if we have done things that have not been supportive of your children and have not been supportive of what your expectations are for us, we want you to challenge us because it is my goal to get your child back. That is my goal. That is my goal, to get your child to return to Winton Woods. And also get them too. So, yes, I am eager. The more children I have, the better I feel. Now, this data, go back one slide, Ms. Denny. This is not data from like years ago. This is May 2014. This is recent, right now. We also respect and love. We talked about those 28 different languages, but the question is, what did we do about them? We could brag all day and we say we have 28 languages spoken in our schools. But are you respecting the people who speak the languages? Well, yes, we do. Because there is a service that connects our families to an interpreter to help facilitate communications who speak up to 28 different languages. This grant-funded service is available to all our schools and departments. So that means not only are we talking about diversity, we respect it and we want it. So, the other great thing, thanks to the ingenuity of the board and the treasurer, we have extended the operating levy for up to 4 additional years without coming back to taxpayers. This is what's interesting. That's Winton Woods. That's us. The next pieces to this puzzle, you will see that Butler, Warren, Hamilton, Claremont have actually done something very creative. Every one of these areas that are dropping inside are all newly constructed buildings. Every one except for this one. This is our competition. 29 school districts using your state tax dollars to fund new school facilities in all of these areas. Miss Denny is creative. Wouldn't that be exciting to have this Dave Bell Auditorium, and that's what it looks like? Imagine 3 years from now, I'm on that stage and I'm talking to you again. Who knows, I might have a song by then. So this is our vision at Winton Woods. We're changing the conversation. We're raising standards, academics and conduct. Does anybody know what the conduct is? That's that behavior you keep talking about. Well, we call it appropriate conduct. So we're going to change the landscape on that, where students don't have to worry about being disciplined, they are self-disciplined. For every student, in every seat, in every school, every day. I stole that from someone. And she was my mentor, advisor, Mrs. Blackwell, who was the superintendent of Cincinnati Public. She says that all the time. I used to dream about that because she really made sure that you were talking about every student every day. We know the potential for each of our students is incredible. That's who we're fighting for. That's what it looks like. That's the future of Winton Woods. And I leave you with our next superintendent's address. See, this is not a one-time thing. See, I believe that the way you close school out is how you open it for the next year. So if you close it out with integrity, you open it up with integrity. And here's our final. People may forget what you tell them, but they will not forget what you help them understand through action. Thank you. Questions? Ooh, that's good. Yes, sir.
You just mentioned in the last few statements about conduct. I've heard comments that discipline in classrooms is not very good.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering, what do you plan to do to make sure there is discipline so that the kids who want to learn actually can?
Fantastic question. Where I come from, there's something called a pyramid of intervention. And in that pyramid, every student gets an overview of what the expectations are. And students who struggle a little more, they get more intense opportunities to learn about what that opportunity looks like. And then kids that are in the 10%, we have to create special services and opportunities for them. But one of the things that we do know that we have some students who have some difficulty. And when we see the difficulty come out year after year after year, we are not allowed to wait to see how the behavior works. We have to take care of it prior to. See, sometimes we wait and we know that there's going to be some problems, but we wait to see if Johnny can really stay in his seat. Well, there are times where he struggles. But we know what that struggle is, so it's going to be the responsibility of some of our teachers and some of our administrators to pass that news on to say, Johnny needs support before he gets in trouble. See, we wait until the end, and we know. Same thing that we do, sir, with some of the pieces, and not just Winton Woods, but every district. There are 5-week segments that happen every quarter. In 5 weeks, we know that the child is struggling. But sometimes we wait until the summer to give them support. We have to take care of our children earlier than later, and then we have a better chance of being successful with them. So it's not optional where we're talking about, it's called the tiers. Okay. Tier 1, 2, and 3. And all of our kids fit into that category. But we have to make sure right now, teachers are going to start having conversations about who our other teachers are going to anticipate having. The biggest crime in a school for me, when I was a principal of a building, the biggest crime, if somebody steals something, you can replace it. If somebody loses something, you can replace it. But the biggest crime in schools, for me, the biggest crimes, and this is the thing where I have a no-nonsense approach, is students stealing instructional time from other kids. That is a no-nonsense piece for me, because you can't get it back. See, I have a child who may just be ready to understand the concept, and then somebody gets in the way of that instruction. That is a lost cause for me. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes. Mr. D?
Thanks, Mr. Smith. And I appreciate the question. The question was, how is the free summer work program being publicized and how's it being funded? I know that in terms of funding, it is a federal funding program that we participate in. And we want to make sure that we offer it for anybody under the age of 18 in the community that resides within the Winton district. So we thank the federal government for that, and our food service department for ingenuity and making sure they put that together in a way that doesn't cost the district added dollars. In terms of publicity, I know there are signs out. This is actually the site for it. And I know we send flyers home to the kids, and I know it's on the website. I believe those are the publication methods we've used thus far, unless anyone else has anything to add. Yeah, so it's coming soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to also thank Mr. Day for allowing us to use his building. I asked Mr. Day, and he told me yes. So, right. Ms. Hobbs? Oh, very good question. All right, when our students, number one, if you read any of the literature about learning standards, you will realize something very important. Students who participate in art and music actually do better academically because now you're dealing with the whole child. The other thing, imagine I have 5 third-grade math teachers, and I need them to collaborate to work on standards. If those teachers can all group and meet together while the students are in art, phys ed, and music, it gives us a better chance. So it gives our teachers, see, here's the thing, if you understand this magical thing called a master schedule, in order for my teachers to collaborate together, the children have to be somewhere else. And so they're in their specials while the teachers are collaborating. What really hurts us is if we don't have enough specials and then our teachers don't collaborate and they miss important conversations with each other. So it's enriching for students. It helps our teachers collaborate so we have a better opportunity of meeting the state standards. Yes, sir.
You had indicated the open enrollment. You gave a revenue figure there. Comes out to about $5,200 per student. But yet, the cost per student in the district is significantly higher than that. It's over $12,000.
Yes.
Where does that delta come from?
Well, first of all, that's a good question. Here's a piece that we really need to understand. If we really could keep our kids here, then we don't even break even, we actually have growth. So where the missing link comes from, we have to fund that. We have to fund that. And for the students that we lose to other educational opportunities, we have to make sure we're doing a better job of selling our own school and selling our own district. So yeah, it comes from us. We have to absorb that. And so that's why it's very important for us to make sure that we are doing our job. See, if parents want to make choices about where their children go, and there are some opportunities that look different than ours, if we're putting our real footprint on the work, and we're doing it with integrity, and we're doing it with the semblance of hope that we are getting it done the right way, our parents won't leave. Because I don't think any parent comes into this process saying, if you are making sure that my child is a high flyer and they're achieving academically, they're not going to rush out of the system. Some of this thing and some of this movement happens to be about people who have been disenfranchised. And we have to change that movement. So thank you. Yes. Okay, good question. She says, where do we get the funding to bring back art, music, and phys ed? Well, believe it or not, over the past 3 years, we've made 70 cuts. We've cut positions. And with some of those cuts, we had to realize, wait a minute, I think we might be doing the wrong thing. We did some things very, very creative to save dollars so that we didn't have to come back to the taxpayers. But in light of some of those things that we did, we realized some of these things weren't good for children. And so we're doing it in a very, very eloquent, efficient manner so that we can regain your trust, regain our kids' opportunities. So the funding is available. We have the funding to do it. And so we don't have to come back to the taxpayers to get those things reinstated. Okay? Yes? We're working on the schedule now to make sure that it's going to be a greater growth than what we have now. So I can't say exactly how often, but we're hoping that that experience is going to be on a regular basis. Yes, sir.
Can I actually share some numbers?
Yes, sir.
Before teaching here at Winton Woods, I actually taught for the day school harmonic, not through a school. And our program went into schools that had no music after school. And we not only taught music, but we did a lot of research in the number area. And we found that with my students, my personal babies, on their OAA scores, my students scored 30% higher every year than those students not involved in special. They scored 30% higher even than the students who did have music once a week. So investing in art is investing in higher academics. By the numbers, we can get you that data if you want. So
Very good. That deserves an applause. Thank you. Mr. Henderson? One of the things that I will have to do is I will have to get you that information because it's a variety of kids that come for a variety of reasons. Some of them are students who transfer from other schools because they're disenfranchised with them. Some of them are students who say your arts program is outstanding. Some of them say AGS is incredible. Some of them say your AP courses are top-notch. So it depends on the parent, it depends on the students, but I can get you that information because I think it's good so that people know. All right?
Also students from abroad.
Students from abroad. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick question on the summer lunch program. Are there any other programs tied with it, educational? You're feeding them food, but is there educational feeding?
Excellent question. All right. Eventually, we're going to move ourselves to the standards-based thing that's in my head. Like all this stuff is in my head, all right? And it is my responsibility to get it on paper so the executive team can work with me to perfect it. So there will be intervention opportunities for students in the summer who have some academic difficulties. There will be intervention processes associated with our student growth. But one of the things that we don't want to talk about anymore, we're going to change our language on two very, very important things. Our kids take a test. They take a high-stakes test. And we have been calling it a practice test. That language is over. Because if you take a test and you call it a practice test, you're not that serious about the test. We're going to call it a diagnostic summary, and the diagnostic test is a preview of what to anticipate and how we can help you grow. The other language that we're going to change, full scale, whole district, is intervention. Intervention without acceleration means that I just gave you enough to get by. There has to be an acceleration plan to go along with it. Otherwise, you will get kids to a certain level. They will probably get a low D, mid-C, and then we will say that we're successful. That's a challenge for the next teacher. So we have to have an acceleration plan involved where not only are we remediating you through intervention, we're accelerating you at the same time. They must go together. All right? Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
You talked about restoring some of the programs. I know a lot of parents have concerns about the busing and attendance for the children. Is there any plan for restoring the busing?
Restoring the busing for high school?
For high school, that is.
Here's a hard sell about busing for high school. Because they are pass-through dollars that we never see, they're dollars that we never see. The state says if you offer busing for your high school kids, you must offer busing for all high school kids that come from your sector that may go to other schools and other districts and other places. So the district made a decision years ago to not have busing for high school, because if you offer it for high school kids, you offer it for every high school kid who may come from your particular district. When open enrollment came, somebody here was very, very smart. When open enrollment knocked on the door, that busing thing can put you under, it can really, really ruin your budget, because you must offer that same opportunity. So it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell, Ms. Ruggles, but we had to make some decisions based on finances. Okay? Yes? Electives. Okay. Mr. Denny encourages me. Yes, there's summer PE, and Mr. Torres just gave me the motion. There's summer strings. One of the things that we really want to do, and this is where we have to kind of figure out how we're going to make it work. We have some young people right now who need to make the standards, who need to pass the test in order to grow. So we have a limited amount of funds. We have to put it where the students need the help. And one day we will get ourselves in such a good position that we won't need to work on all of these interventions because our kids will be making it the first time. Then we can offer enrichment opportunities. Right now, I would be remiss, it would be a contradiction of who I am and what I believe if we put in enrichment opportunities and then we didn't take care of the students who needed the growth targets. That would be negligence. Okay. Yes, sir.
I just have a question on the AGS program. You had stated that we're now going to incorporate some of those concepts for all 1,000 students. What is that going to look like? And will we get something in writing to show us what's going to happen? Or
you will get something in writing of what it looks like. Dr. Holden, you want to ad-lib on that one?
Sure. What this means is that we are leveraging our partnership with the International Study Schools Network, and through that network, of which AGS is a part of, they provide basically curriculum delivery through project-based learning. So that is what we are pushing out to all students across all content areas.
Yes.
At all grades in the high school. Teachers have been trained. We were really in our first year, all high school, of implementation of that, and that will continue. So you have a second part of your question.
Will there be literature on it of how it looks?
yeah. Because the slide said AGS, New Technology Network, with this one chat between one-to-one technology and Asian society. So I was assuming that all 1,000 students will start early, leave late.
No.
All 1,000 students will
No.
like little iPads.
Okay. There were two pieces to it, and I think you tried to capture the essence of it, so let me see if I can help. Those are two different pieces, all right? When you talk about the one-to-one, that's a special opportunity that we have available for students in AGS. We're talking about the project-based learning. The project-based learning, and I'm going to tell you what the project-based learning does. More than just academic growth, it creates a different concept of how kids get along with other kids. Because they're not working on projects in isolation, they're working on projects in collaboration. If you heard the one student mention, collaboration is one of the key formulas. When you have project-based learning, your discipline drops by a ton. So we'll get you more information on it, and I think that it'll make sense to you, all right? I think the 70 hours of service is something that should not be negotiated. It should be for every kid. I think every kid should be able to do that. I don't think that the 70 hours of service it doesn't sound like it's an option for me. It's something that we could really incorporate to make sure that all of our kids are givers as opposed to takers. So, very good point. Thank you. We have time for 2. There you go.
Is there any data about our new school configuration, like our KG section, third and fourth grade school, fifth and sixth grade school? Is there any data that is working? And is there a plan to ever go back to like K through 6, 7, 8, 9?
Okay. Believe it or not, there's supportive information that says every year our students go to a new school, there's some academic drop-off. There's data that supports that. So when they there's difficulty. Once they're in fourth, they get better. When they go to fifth, there's difficulty. When they go to sixth, Mr. Denny and I wreck our brains, and we do know that there's an advantage of small schools, but we have to kind of look at both of those pieces to figure out what's the biggest advantage for the entire district. So we're working on some plans, so just stay tuned. All right? When you see me again in August, I should have all of these answers. Yes, ma'am. Ooh, that's the best question of the day. She says, when you talk about the construction of new schools, how do you really justify $110 million? And where is the ROI, which is the return on our investment? First of all, if you have 2 instead of 6, that's an investment broker by itself. The other piece that makes it very, very nice for us is those schools that we're talking about for our future are energy efficient schools. Our schools right now are not very energy efficient. And so we're looking at the return on our investment to be something that we will be able to show you in figures that will make sense to you based on energy conservation, energy audits. They would dig things like geothermal wells that would save a higher amount of electricity, kilowatts, the whole piece. So when you're talking about 2 buildings as opposed to 6 that we have now, our buildings need windows, they need new doors. If we really put all of the money into the buildings that we really should have, we would be in trouble financially because we can't even keep up with the maintenance operations. And the other thing I want people to understand, since you brought it up, I can talk about it. The other thing that I think people should understand is none of the buildings that we're talking about now that we currently operate are based on negligence by our maintenance crew, based on negligence by our financial opportunities to restore dignity and pride into the buildings. The buildings are just getting older. And some of the parts they don't even make anymore. So in order to bring those buildings up to code, it would cost a lot of money to do that. And they may not be as energy efficient as we think they should be. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. So, you heard the story. Now we're going to make sure that everything that was on that screen, see, we want you to challenge us and make sure everything that we talked about tonight is reality, because now we've exposed it. It is about the work that we know that we have to do. We love your children. We're happy that you've sent them to us. And now we're going to do the part. We've been working diligently, and now we're going to make sure that we put all of these pieces into place. In August, you will have your next State of the Schools address. Hopefully, I will be here. And that will give us the idea about what our next part of the mission is. Okay? Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.